There's $30 trillion with a T, 30 trillion controlled by advisors. And when I say controlled, I literally mean controlled, meaning the person who gave it to the advisor doesn't make the decisions anymore. Those advisors make the decisions, and they happen to be primarily, not that there aren't some good young advisors, but primarily they're of a certain age and experience level, and ETFs are their go-to tool.
It has been 2 days since the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission granted approval to 11 spot Bitcoin ETFs, ushering in a full day of trading marked by record-breaking transaction volumes. Notably, the ProShares Bitcoin Strategy ETF achieved a milestone by smashing its all-time volume record on Thursday, with over $2 billion traded. Senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg, Eric Balcones, suggests that some transactions may involve redemptions as investors shift funds from futures ETFs to the newly launched spot ETFs. Despite this, he asserts confidence in BO's liquidity, foreseeing its continued role as a market maker for the new ETFs. Renowned investor, hedge fund manager, and digital asset enthusiast Mark Yusko has expressed positive sentiments about spot Bitcoin ETFs since BlackRock filed its application in June. Despite previous SEC rejections, Yusko anticipated that the interest of a major player like BlackRock would influence the Commission's decision, which, as evidenced, it did. Beyond BlackRock, the judge's ruling in the Grayscale case against the SEC played a pivotal role, signaling that the Commission lacks sufficient evidence to deny spot ETFs after approving futures ETFs. With the drama now in the past, Yusko believes that the approval marks the beginning of a significantly larger phase, emphasizing the importance of ETFs as the preferred tool for advisors, as highlighted in an investment news report. The approval comes at an opportune moment, and Yusko asserts that everything has indeed changed for Bitcoin and the entire digital asset space.
Please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to drop your comment and observations in the comment section below. Thanks and enjoy the video.
The average boomer, they're not going to self-custody. They're not going to buy Bitcoin the way all the maxis want them to. So this is a necessary step. And the thing that people just don't seem to understand and appreciate, and I don't know why you wouldn't like this, there's $30 trillion with a T, 30 trillion controlled by advisors. And when I say controlled, I literally mean controlled, meaning the person who gave it to the advisor doesn't make the decisions anymore. Those advisors make the decisions, and they happen to be primarily, not that there aren't some good young advisors, but primarily they're of a certain age and experience level, and ETFs are their go-to tool. It is their number one tool. It's not mutual funds. It's not stocks and bonds. It's not treasuries. It's not cash. It is ETFs. And so to be able to own the greatest diversifying asset in the history of assets, just let that sink in for a second. There are a lot of diversifying assets, commodities, hedge funds, private equity, venture capital, a lot of diversifying assets. When you add them to the portfolio, your Sharpe ratio goes up, your risk goes down, your return goes up. Bitcoin is the greatest diversifying asset ever. Over 15 years, it's got 0.0 correlation to bonds, 0.15 correlation to stocks. You add it to your portfolio gets better. If you would have gone back a year ago, you would have said zero chance of a Bitcoin ETF. After 9 years of trying and everybody, and I actually started tweeting maybe 9 months ago that it was going to change because BlackRock was going to get approved. And everybody's like, they haven't even entered the fray. They haven't even, like, just trust me.
Said it here.
BlackRock is going to be first. And I actually said, and I said this right up until Friday, that they were going to be the only one. I actually believed that the SEC would kingmake, right? I believed that they would defer. And Hunter and I talked about this, that look, we own little pieces of Bitwise, and we own little pieces of Amun, which is part of 21 shares. So I really wanted them to get approved, but I didn't think they were going to. I thought that they were going to play favorites and give all of it to Uncle Larry. And I'm glad I was wrong, because it's way better to have an open free market. And 11 on 11 is kind of cool. But I think what changed is a couple things. a bunch of 2x4s to the head by the courts. So that certainly changed.
A lot of credit to Grayscale. A lot of credit.
Yeah,
to Grayscale.
A lot of credit to Grayscale, and look, there's been a bunch of other things that have changed. Now there's the sinister side, which says this is a Trojan horse, and this is, hey, let's suck all the Bitcoin into these boomer wrappers, and then Max Kaiser's out saying, and then we're going to seize it all. Look, if you read the fine print, I mean, it technically is possible. That is one of the risks that people have to talk about. I don't think it's a real risk. I don't think it's likely, but look, that's another narrative that's out there. On the ETH, I don't think it's coming because there's no catalyst for GG to give in on that one.
Within the cryptocurrency community on X, opinions are split over the recent revelation regarding SEC Chair Gary Gendler's role in approving the spot Bitcoin ETFs. Official SEC documents circulating on the social media platform indicate that Gendler cast a decisive yes vote for the ETF's approval, with the split vote standing at 2-2. Commissioners Hester Pierce and Mark Ueda voted in favor, while Caroline Crenshaw and Jamie Lizarraga opposed. Gendler's affirmative vote tipped the scale toward approval. Despite this surprising development, Gendler maintains an anti-crypto stance. In a statement following the announcement, he clarified that approving spot Bitcoin ETFs does not signify the SEC's endorsement of Bitcoin. Gendler concluded by cautioning investors about the risks associated with crypto assets, and emphasized that the approvals were influenced by the judge's ruling in the Grayscale case. The community expresses bewilderment at Gendler's seemingly two-faced behavior. Despite facilitating the approval of Bitcoin ETFs, he continues to maintain a cautious stance on cryptocurrencies. This paradox raises questions about the SEC chair's true stance on digital assets. Gendler's acknowledgement of the judge's role in the Grayscale case implies that external factors played a significant role in the decision-making process. As discussions unfold, attention shifts to Hunter Horley, who delves into investor interest in Bitcoin ETFs in the next segment, providing additional insights into the evolving dynamics of the cryptocurrency market.
Because the way that these netted out were that they're cash creations and redemptions, ultimately an investor is not able to take Bitcoin that they already own and put it directly into the fund.
Yeah, to be clear, that was saying sell it and then buy it. Right, correct.
Yeah, so I don't actually think, I know some investors that were considering that, but I think that most won't end up doing that because taking the tax event, if they don't own it in an IRA, is just not appealing. I do think that you'll have some investors who own a very high fee product in an IRA swap out of that for a low cost product because why not? You don't have the taxable event. So I think to your point, Scott, that wouldn't necessarily be new demand. And we'll have to see how the day unfolds, but we hear a huge amount of demand. And that would be new incremental demand into the space. I think, Mark hit on this before. There are many types of investors for whom this is really the first time they can access the space they've read a lot about, they've thought about, but they felt that they couldn't access. Maybe they couldn't access it because they literally didn't have a product that worked on their platforms. They just felt that the products that were available were not feasible for them. We've run a survey of financial advisors. We serve thousands of firms and branches, over a dozen banks and broker-dealer platforms. We've run a survey for the past 6 years. Every year, a Bitcoin ETF is the top most desired product for accessing the space. And in the results that we published just, I think, a week ago, 88% of advisors said that they were waiting for a Bitcoin ETF to invest in the space. So I'm not viewing this event as, of course, there will always be some rotation from existing investors. I do think it's very sensible for people who are in a high fee product to consider moving to a lower fee product. But really the story here is, there's 20 or $30 trillion in the wealth management channel. That's people's savings. They have aspirations around it. And there are many advisors who've been wanting to help their clients benefit from this space, but have felt that they couldn't responsibly do so. And then, of course, there's IRAs, there's institutional investors. And when you add that all up, I just think that will be the dominant number and determinant of where things come out. But of course, we'll have to see. And not everyone is in a position to make an investment in the first hour, 3 hours. For many of these types of investors, they're not sitting at their computer waiting to see a ticker populate and they're going to cancel all of their meetings today. they'll discuss it when they have time, or the next investment committee, or the next conversation with the client. So I think this will be a very interesting story this week. There are people who've prepared, but I think the vast majority of the audience that is coming online that makes this such a historic moment, they'll be contemplating this over the course of weeks and months. And last year, to give a sense of proportion, we did 20,000 meetings and calls with financial advisors and institutional investors. And I can just tell you, there are many of those types of investors who are excited about these products, who've been wanting these products, and they set the meeting for 3 weeks from now, because in their mind, that is moving fast. And I'm not dismissive of that. That is, on their time scale. It's not like they have to buy an IPO in the first hour after it opens. So I think that there's huge incremental inflows that sit behind the bridge that was just built with these products. And there will be some rotation, I think, especially for investors who want to get out of a high fee product they've been trapped in. But I think the big story is the gate that has been opened to millions of investors.
In a recent update, Cathie Wood, the founder and CEO of ARK Invest, expressed her views on the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs and its potential impact on Bitcoin's future price. Wood mentioned in a CNBC interview that the recent SEC approval has significantly increased the likelihood of ARK Invest's ambitious price target for Bitcoin. She explained that their bull case, predicting Bitcoin reaching $1.5 million by 2030, now appears more probable with the regulatory green light. Wood emphasized the significance of the SEC's approval, stating that it serves as validation for their optimistic outlook. ARK Invest's base case remains in the $600,000 range, but the probability of achieving the more optimistic bull case has strengthened. In another development, Tom Lee, the head of research at Fundstrat, shared his perspective on Bitcoin's price trajectory. Responding to inquiries about his short-term and long-term predictions for Bitcoin, Lee conveyed optimism. He anticipates that within the next 12 months, Bitcoin could surpass $100,000, possibly reaching over $150,000. Looking further ahead, Lee highlighted the combination of a finite supply and increased demand following the spot Bitcoin approval, suggesting that hitting around 500,000 in the next 5 years is a realistic possibility. The growing consensus among industry experts points toward a positive trajectory for Bitcoin, fueled by regulatory advancements and heightened demand. As discussions unfold, the crypto community is encouraged to share their thoughts on these predictions and the overall outlook for Bitcoin in both the short and long term. Drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. For more Daily Dose Crypto news, check out these 2 awesome videos on your screen. Click now and we will see you on the next video.